couple takeaways, right? One of our teams that kind of burned us in that 5 was the Steelers, right? I thought on the road in a division game, Tomlin's great as an underdog. They're plus, I think, 5.5 or something like that. At Cleveland, 5.5. I figured that'd be a nice, easy cover. I thought they had a chance to win. But first off, they can't stop the run well enough, and the offense is just so bad. I mean, I'm not sure.
Watching that game was so bad.
Yeah, and so I've been trying to come up with like a theory as to what their plan is, right? Because they're the number 1 or 2 team in defensive spending, and then they're like first or second least in offensive spending, right? Which is completely contrarian to the league right now. The only thing I've come up with is that they want to hopefully pay some of these defensive guys early so they can eventually, because you get your value usually towards the back end of contracts most of the time.
Right.
Especially
the
these,
end loaded, yeah.
Right, especially well, no, I'm saying like, but as an organization, the cap's going to go up. Right, so you're going to pay them now, agree on this rate, but then 3 years down the road, the people that are getting paid in 3 years that are an edge rusher, for example, T.J. Watt in 3 years is going to end up being like the 8th most highest paid edge rusher or something like that.
Yeah.
Right, because the market's going to go up per usual, so you end up getting a little bit of a discount right in the year 3, 4, 5 of the deal. So I think that might be their goal, is to pay all these defensive guys now, get a little bit of a discount, so by the time our offense is good in 3 years, they're hoping, obviously, you develop it. That's their idealistic view, is that they develop the offense, right? That it's going to be really, really good in 3 years and you'll have a complete roster.
Well, then that's 3-4 years down the road, though, and are they willing to wait that long?
No, and I think it's a flawed plan to begin with, because what pieces do you have in place right now to develop that offense?
Little to none. I mean, you have Najee, you have Deontay Johnson, who's average. He drops a lot of easy passes. He'll make a crazy, like, one-handed falling backwards catch and then drop the pass.
I don't think he's bad. I think he's a really, really, really nice number 2 receiver.
I don't think Chase Claypool is somebody that I would particularly want to build around.
I think he's a really, really good 3 receiver.
George Pickens is a guy that I'd like to project.
I think he could be our number 1. That's the goal.
He'd be, like, I'd say kind of just our 1 star on the offense. Him and Najee, I think, have a lot of potential. But, I mean, Najee just has never had an offensive line to run behind. It's really hard to be successful as a running back in this league when you can't find any holes open on your offensive line.
Right. I mean, obviously we don't know what we haven't picked yet either. He could be a piece as well, but
that's also why we have to see him. You have to know what you have.
Right. And if you're sitting here thinking, well, if actually they truly think Matt Canada is the guy that can kind of develop this offense, that's on them. That's a front office issue.
Yeah.
That's just a pure. You're not watching the games, right? I don't know if they.
Because none of the schemes seem to work.
Right. You're not watching the games if you think that he's going to be the guy to take it to the next level.
No.
They need to figure something out, and quickly. All right, kind of shifting to the other side of the state of Pennsylvania. The Philadelphia Eagles continue to impress. They are one of just 2 teams now that are 3-0.
Yeah.
Hurts, I mean, like we've always said, it might not be pretty. He might not throw the best deep ball in the world. He might not be the most accurate. But damn it, every time you look up, he's scoring 45 points. Maybe not that. That's a little much. They're scoring 30-plus almost every week, though.
I mean, it's
the offense is impressive. It's productive. He's a really good leader. Is that the best team in the NFC right now?
I think
right now, yes.
I think so.
Is it crazy the number 1 seed when we look up? I think we have him at the 2 when we predicted it. So
yeah, we did have him at 2. I mean,
we had him at the 3. I think we had him at 3.
Did we? We
did.
Out of the NFC, you don't have much talent. So, I mean, they're going to rise to the top quicker than if they were, over in the AFC.
Right.
But I do think that they have the roster to compete with a Tampa. They do have the roster to go deep into the playoffs, I feel like, and make a run. If not this year, then next year maybe for like a really deep run. I mean, you can definitely tell they're trending in the right direction, right? This feels a little bit Lamar when he won his MVP with the Ravens, right? Nobody, even though Lamar was fantastic, I don't think any of us went into that playoff year and was like, oh, they're winning the Super Bowl, right? They're going to say they're going to be a tough out. That's a tough beat because it's Lamar and he's really tough to stop. Like a Cincinnati this last year.
Like a Cincinnati, right? But I don't even think they're quite there to where they're going to make that run, right? It feels very Lamar when he won his MVP. Win the MVP, great season. Not quite at the level where we're going to go win a multiple playoff games.
Or how about 2 years ago when Tennessee made a little bit of a run in the playoffs and then got knocked off about halfway through?
Maybe. It's the AFC Championship game, though. I don't think they're there yet. But either way, right? I see what you're saying. Is that they're going to make some noise.
Yeah, they will.
We're not sure if they're at the quote unquote maybe top 2 contenders right now.
Either way, moving in the right.
But they're
direction.
looking really good.
They are.
Line is fantastic. Defense is good. Another team that has been kind of a surprise has been the Jags. I mean, we said that Lawrence is going to be so much improved under Peterson. Mm-hmm. Their offense is going to look right. It's going to look organized. He's an adult in the room. He's going to kind of bring the temperature down from Urban. And I think it's helped Trevor Lawrence a lot.
Oh, it was evident this week, too. I mean, he was completing a lot of really nice rhythm timing throws that he has... I mean, he's kind of struggled with that stuff.
Yeah, he has.
Just in the the past year to last year.
Right.
And they're finally starting to seem like everything is meshing. And I don't love Trevor Lawrence as a leader in particular either. I mean, I don't feel like he has the biggest motivating voice.
Yeah.
I would say a Joe. He's not on a Joe Burrow level, who I think is just excellent.
Yeah, I don't think he has that swagger and the confidence of Joe, but I think he could.
And I think he's gaining it with this little bit of success that he's starting to achieve now.
Right. So he did struggle on those timing rhythm throws. He's what they call an overstrider. When he goes to throw, he strides a little too far,
right,
which is going to limit his hips. The ball's kind of going to die a little bit, right? Even though he's got a live arm on some of those rhythm throws, right? He hitches up a little bit. He'll overstride, kind of not get quite as much on it. Won't have the flight or the zip. So they've kind of worked on that. And then also Trent Dilfer was talking about this, that they're doing a lot of half-field reads, right? So basically at the line, they want him to be able to almost eliminate a half of the field. We're not even, unless, fit hits the shan, right? Yeah. Unless it goes so south, you're not even looking at the left side of the field. We're going to play action fake. You're going to have 2 or 3 defined reads on the right side. If not, use your athleticism, get outside of the pocket.
Yeah.
Right, and so that's
he does really well.
That's been going really, really well for them.
Yeah.
Okay. But on the flip side, you got to make sure that there's a supporting cast around them, a run game, all that type of stuff. Play complementary football. Buffalo's learning the hard way. Josh Allen threw 60? I'm going to look right now. I have it all. I have the games pulled up. I want to say it was 63 times. He threw 60-plus times. I know that.
Very Josh
I think
Allen
63 times was right, and he had 8 carries. So, I mean, you're looking at 71 where he's the focal. That doesn't even count hurries. That doesn't even count sacks, right? And so he could have probably got sacked 3 or 4 times, right? So you're looking at almost 70 dropbacks almost, and 8 rushes. That's ridiculous. That's a lot of wear and tear on a quarterback.
That is a ton.
He looked drained in the fourth quarter. He didn't have the zip. He didn't have the athleticism. And how could you after 55, the last 5 minutes were rough. The first 55 minutes carrying the team.
I mean, you got to find a way to get him some help. Whether that's some different schemes in the running game, different blocking assignments, change whatever you need to. Take a little bit of the weight off this dude's shoulders because you can't burn him out.
Yeah.
He's so valuable. If you continue to do this week after week and just expect, he'll be fine. He'll bounce back. He'll be able to give us that every week. That is just unrealistic to ask that of even a great quarterback like that. So you got to tread very lightly with that one.
And I think they need to work in some more gimme throws with him as well, right? He's got a great arm, and he pushed the ball downfield. He's aggressive, and he's probably part of the problem on this as well because he's that aggressive nature, right? He's probably saying, "Coach, let me throw the ball downfield, let me zip it in there."
Almost playing himself out,
right? And that's fine. But there's got to be, out of, not that you should ever drop him back 63 times, but theoretically, if you do, about 25 of those should be almost within 1 line of the yard of the line of scrimmage or 1 yard behind it.
Yeah.
Right? They should be gimme throws. You're talking screens, bubbles, those little pitches in front where somebody's running by, right? Mm-hmm. Little things like that, slants when it's off coverage, something like that, right? Little things like that to kind of get him rolling a little bit, and those are also plays where he doesn't really have to do much, right? Those are plays where you can kind of don't have to worry about much. I'm just gonna hit, Gabe Davis on a little bubble screen. I literally just catch it and throw it, 9 yards to my left. We're in business.
Yeah.
Just little things like that would go a long way as well. But they are very Buffalo's very Josh Allen dependent.
Yes, they are.
If they can get a running game, they might be really, really hard to stop. But with that being said, let's get into some of the other games that were, less important. We kind of breezed through a little bit.
All right, one of the semi-bigger games that kind of stuck out this weekend was the Bengals and the Jets. I mean, that was just
Well, right, and so I think the reason it sticks out is because the Bengals kind of look like they're getting their mojo back a little bit, right? They're trying to...
They kind of got their feet back underneath of them. Right. Joe Burrow looked pretty good.
Looked a lot better. And Joe Flacco kind of came back down to earth a little bit because at the end of the day, he's a backup, right? He can go in, and you're going to compete for a couple games. He'll win you one of them maybe. But at the end of the day, he's a backup.
And he's not going to be like world-beating.
Right, and when you throw him 52 times, it's really, really hard to win.
Relying on Joe Flacco 52 times. Say that out loud.
That's a tough spot to be in.
That's the Jets.
It's good seeing well, I guess not good because I'm a Pittsburgh fan, but I do like Joe Burrow, and I think the Bengals are a talented team. And so seeing them kind of back on track, that feels right.
Yeah, it does.
All right, how about the Titans getting the win over the Raiders, getting their first win of the year, moving up to 1-2. The Raiders are now the only winless team in football.
Surprising.
So this is kind of a little extracurricular hit here, right? Kind of add-on bonus. We said they were going to be last, and everyone was giving us so much. Like, you know what? How about actually, let's see how they do this weekend. We both picked them to win. We'll get to that, but they get the Broncos this weekend at home.
Look, I mean...
So that's not a given.
No.
But theoretically, what if they go 0-4, and especially if they do, maybe if they don't, we'll do a little segment... maybe we'll just call it like "Shut Your Mouth," right? Like I don't even know.
Las Vegas, maybe?
Yeah,
because we got a lot of pushback.
We won't even do it. We won't even do a segment. I'll just tell them to shut their mouth. That's what I think what we'll do. You know, that's kind of becoming a theme. I told the Browns fans to stop talking. The Raiders fans were all over us.
I think Vegas is next.
Yeah, for being like, "Oh, we're not coming in last. We were 0-3, and you can't even get Devontae Adams to work, so that's tough."
So,
all right, Saints at the Panthers. The Panthers going to get a win 22-14. Baker's first win as a Carolina Panther. Jameis continues to look bad. He had 2 picks on the day as opposed to just 1 touchdown, so you're getting all the risk, not a lot of the reward. Baker looked awful as well, completing under 50% of his throws for under 200 yards, but didn't turn the ball over. Good enough to get a win. Christian McCaffrey looked good. Kind of the whole story of the game there.
Yeah, it didn't look great for Baker.
Whatever. It's Baker. I mean, we kind of figured. Ravens at the Patriots. I think Lamar right now is playing at an MVP level, and he's earning every bit of the contract that he's going to get, whether it's from the Ravens or somebody else, and then the Ravens would be crazy to let him walk.
Best football I have seen him play, I think, ever in his career, even with during his MVP season. Right now, this trajectory that he's on so early, would another MVP shock you if he stays on this?
And here's the thing, he's a better passer right now than he was 2 years ago when he won his MVP. He looks like a more confident and comfortable thrower of the football, a distributor, as opposed to just running around and making throws every now and then. Right now, he is at least above average. He's now, split the league in half. He got 16 and 16. He is at 100% in the top 16, I could argue in top 10 of just passing quarterbacks.
He is electric, and I got him on the fantasy team, so that just feels like a little extra win for me.
Lucky you. Mac Jones will be out, probably, my guess, 2 to 3, maybe 4 weeks with a high ankle sprain. Evidently, it's a very severe high ankle sprain, so we'll be rolling with Brian Hoyer, it looks like. All right, Lions at the Vikings. The Lions, like I said, in true Detroit fashion, up 14 at one point, drop to 1-2 after losing 28-24. Honestly, I think just the offense in Minnesota just got the better of them. Like I said, we said they'd be scrappy. We said they'd be entertaining.
They are.
They were every bit of that. But again, they're still Detroit, so they're going to lose some games they should win, just like that one.
Absolutely.
Like we already talked about the Eagles waxing the Commanders. How about the Chiefs fall to the Colts in Indianapolis?
Now, that was interesting.
Yeah, I didn't expect that. And honestly, I don't want to sit here and blame Chris Jones, right? The defensive tackle who got that taunting call on Matt Ryan to extend that last drive to allow the Colts to score and take the lead. But also, you're a professional athlete. You got to think a little bit, right? That was a really dumb decision. You're off the field. You're done. Your offense is about to get back on the field.
Like, why are we taking
that's about to end
unnecessary
the game.
Penalties?
It's almost ending the game. And you take a stupid penalty. Ticky-tack or not, why would you even give them a chance to call it? That's a terrible idea. Mahomes and Bieniemy getting into it on the sideline on their way to halftime.
Yeah.
Now, I think it'll be fine. Andy's going to bring the temperature down a little bit. Mahomes is super coachable. He's super level-headed. They'll be fine. But, I mean, this is what happens when you get, all new wide receivers. Your offensive line is still, they got rebuilt last year, but they're still kind of coming into their own a little bit.
Yeah, especially when Mahomes was so comfortable with who he had before and having Cheetah as that safety valve to kind of throw to when things went awry. It's just something that they're going to have to learn through, and I see them, getting over that hump eventually. It's just going to be a little bit of growing pains with these new pieces. But overall, I was super shocked. I mean, I was watching that game. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I mean, Indianapolis, a team that has looked like they were in shambles for the last 3 or 2 weeks prior, walk in and compete with the Chiefs and win. So it was a great week. Kind of interesting, fun to see.
To me, it almost looked like they wanted it just a little bit more.
Yeah.
Right? 0-2, that was one of those, or I guess 0-1-1, right? That's one of those early, have to win games.
Yeah, and Matt Ryan has something to prove on a new team. He needs to get that first win.
They're at 500 right now, which is crazy. 1-1-1.
Strange.
All right, the Texans, who they actually tied week 1, are now 0-2-1 after falling on a last-second Cairo Santos field goal to the Chicago Bears. Now, the Bears are 2-1, but to be fair, at one point they were 5-0. And then they finished 7-9 or something like that, right? So I don't take a lot from the Bears starting quick. They beat the Niners in a monsoon when Trey Lance couldn't complete a pass, and you beat the Texans. So I mean, I'm not putting a lot of weight to this. The only good team you've played really, in an actual real good football game was Green Bay, and you got waxed.
Yeah, you got beat bad.
So I don't take a whole lot from that game. We talked about the Jags being a real good surprise, winning 38-10. The Rams and Cardinals, right? Low scoring affair, right? 20-12, the Rams get the victory over the Cardinals in Arizona. That offense in Arizona just can't figure it out. Kyler looked decent, but again, got to run the football. I like the air raid offense. That's fine. That's kind of the direction of the league. But you still have to you still have to hand the ball off sometimes. They threw it 58 times.
Yeah, they did. That really hurt you.
Yeah, it hurt me, and Kyler's on my fantasy team. That was tough. Look, you can't run the ball, excluding Kyler's 2 carries, which, by the way, also Kyler needs probably some more carries there. He's electric with his legs. They had 19 carries. You can't have 19 carries and 58 pass attempts. It's not going to work.
It's a little lopsided.
It's not going to work, and I think that's the problem there. You got to be a little bit more balanced, play complementary football.
Okay.
Packers narrowly escaped the heroics of Tom Brady into the fourth quarter.
Oh, man.
14-12, we were watching that one. That was a nail-biter.
Toss it on.
Yep. I guess this is the perfect time to do it.
This is a perfect time to bring it out.
Yep. So this is my first week. This is my first week here wearing the TR. Does it fit? Does it look good?
Yeah, it looks good.
Cool.
Looks real nice.
And mostly because of Devondre Campbell's hand sneaking in there on that 2-point conversion to keep the Packers to keep the Bucs from beating the Packers. You obviously had the Packers. I had the Bucs. I figured the Bucs at home would kind of get their offense figured out a little bit. They didn't. It looked awful. Tough day.
Yeah.
Tough day.
Yeah. I mean, it just feels good to have the TR on that side of the.
Here's another one that screwed me too.
Which one in particular?
Falcons at the Seahawks. The Falcons get a win, 27-23 on the road. I thought home field would be more of a factor. But, at the end of the day, Mariota is a veteran. He's been there before. He can kind of, crowds aren't going to affect him like a young quarterback. I thought Seattle's defense looked really, really poor down the stretch. Not able to stop the run at all. Cordell Patterson was gashing them. That's a tough spot to be in.
Yeah.
The linebackers are young, and so I just don't think they were seeing it, and they weren't stopping the run towards the end, and they just didn't give their offense a shot. At the end, it also 27-23. The Falcons absolutely screw me. Even when I don't bet them, they still come back to haunt me. Is what it is.
That one felt good. I mean, we're not on good terms, me and the Falcons yet.
No,
but that's a step in the right direction.
Sure.
Pick up a win this week. Felt good.
Certainly. Broncos, I think I've only seen ever one score that was 11-10, and it was when Troy Polamalu in the snow against, I want to say that would be the Chargers, where he had the one-handed pick, or maybe the Titans, something like that.
It was the Chargers.
That was the last 11-10 score I can remember, but the Broncos beat the Niners 11-10. Jimmy G had that where he stepped out of the back of the end zone. That's a tough week for Jimmy. Look, first week getting all the first team reps right in practice, so it's going to take some time. Give him a deep breath. I think he's going to rebound really nice at home against the Rams, who he historically has played pretty well against. But we'll get to that eventually. But yeah, the Broncos offense still looks awful.
It doesn't look good for the pieces they have for Russ.
Yeah,
nothing's clicking.
And we said earlier in the show, it's got to look easy, right? It should look fluid. It looks too difficult.
Yeah.
It looks hard.
Russ doesn't seem like he has the same, I don't want to say mobility, but
willingness to move? I don't know.
He doesn't seem like he doesn't want to get out of the pocket, shake things around a little bit, and just move the play and extend the play. Like, we've seen him do it countless times in Seattle. And why do they seem to still? It almost looks like it makes me think if it was Russell or Seattle at this point, because still in the fourth quarter, it looks like they finally take the leash off of Russ and let him go.
I agree.
And let him call his own game, audible into what he wants. I don't know if it's like a him thing where it's just like, okay, in the fourth quarter he realizes he's got to turn it on and he turns it on, or if it's the coaching and everything else that's dictating how he calls the game for the first three quarters. But there's something going on.
I agree. All right, Monday Night Football, Cowboys beat the Giants. Not a whole lot to say there. Two teams that aren't very good, and I don't care much about comeback for that